I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, April the 19th, brought to you in part by Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma, there in no man's land. Expecting over 2,000 head of feeder cattle and cows there for the regular Tuesday sale. Talked to Jeff Slatton. The fires are out there. They haven't received any moisture yet. The winds have been blowing, but people are going on with their lives there. He's got several loads of yearlings coming up on Tuesday. You can view and bid those on dvauction.com. He's got 4 to 5 loads of 1,000-pound yearling feeder steers there. He said they'll be pretty nice. Several other loads of yearlings there, some all black and fancy, some mixed color and quality. Gonna have some smaller deals of calves, and then about 500 weigh-up cows. He said there'd be a lot of weigh-up cows to come out of that country, as people just don't have any way to keep those cows anymore. But don't forget Beaver County Stockyards, an active market there and good people to do business with right there in Beaver, Oklahoma. We've got a grain crisis going on. Your grain markets on the Chicago Board of Trade were up sharply to start the week, and really not any more reason than what they've been up here for the last several weeks. Just decided to spike straight up on Monday, all of them, and you know, we don't see a whole lot. We see a few things there, but we did hear a report that I saw come out of Ukraine that the spring planting is only going to be down 17% in the country of Ukraine. Are you kidding me? I told you that I talked to a Feeder Flash gang member that lives in that part of the world and talks to Ukrainians there, and said that those farmers were exempt from having to get drafted or start fighting right away. So they mostly stayed. A lot of them's wives and children have gone on to Poland or somewhere to get out of the danger. But those guys are just farming like they always were before, and get along pretty good. So, you know, that shouldn't be that big of a deal. Just down 17% on the spring plantings there. Now they are having trouble getting shipments out. You know, they're exporting, but you know, it does make a big difference on the fertilizer that they make there, and of course we're not seeing that spread around like normal. But we've got a lockdown in China. Of course, you know that they're having another outbreak of COVID, or some strain of COVID, maybe, I don't know. You see those horrifying things that you know, where people are locked in and screaming, wanting out, don't have any food or any clean water to drink. You know, that's just unbelievable. But you know, the lockdowns worked so good before on the COVID, they decided to do them again. So that makes a lot of sense. We did see late on Monday that we don't have to wear masks anymore when we're flying. Oh, I wished it could have been a few days ago. My ears are still sore from wearing those going out to Nevada, but got to go out to Montgomery, Alabama here over the weekend and early next week, so looking forward to not wearing a mask. And but anyway, they're having those lockdowns over there in China. They say the Shanghai port is closed, so that's limiting trade there. So, you know, I guess all these things are just can be seen as positives for the grain markets since we've changed the rules here lately, and the restrictions. They're making more corn into ethanol, or they're planning that they're going to do that. But anyway, we see that your grains are just you know, jumping through their ass, and it's hard on the cattle market, even fat cattle. And I don't understand. I've told you guys a million times, I don't understand what live cattle or market-ready fat cattle have to do with the grain markets, but they do seem to get pulled down whenever feeder cattle go down, and we saw that happen. But let's talk about your grains to open the week. April live cattle futures down 20 cents at 140.47. That's under what our weighted average was on last week's negotiated trade. June live cattle down 62 cents at 135.80. You look on your back months, and they were down $1.05 to up just 2 cents, which was the farthest out traded month and not a whole lot of activity there. So they were down, but like I said, the biggest downer was $1.05, so it wasn't horrible. But everybody's just real curious to see how short the Packers are, how we can try to keep our market position until we get to the big numbers of so-called market ready cattle, or the wall of cattle that we're going to see a couple of months earlier than what we normally see them. So we're supposed to see them in May or June instead of August. But that kind of coincides when the Packers are really wanting to crank the chain speeds into overdrive to meet all the grilling demand that comes with those early and midsummer holidays. So, you know, maybe they could get watered down, that big run of cattle, but just be interesting to see. But gosh, hogs, lean hog futures, and there's no independent trade there, no independent hog feeders on a commercial basis. That's just totally dominated. They're up nearly $4 a pound. Of course, they're all dress basis. They'll be wanting to change your live cattle to dress basis someday too. I hope people will resist that, and also resist tying your live cattle prices to your box beef cutout values, because they manipulate those prices even more than they manipulate the trade on our little dab of what negotiated fat cattle we see. But April feeder cattle down 242 at 155.77. May was down 262 at 159.15. Your back months on feeder cattle down $1.95 to down 287. Ouch. Corn up 23 cents, now squarely well above $8 a bushel at 8.13 1/4. And remembering some of the things I heard my old friend Bill Simmons say whenever we'd hit the watering hole after a long day at the stockyards, he'd say, you know, it's pretty easy to figure what that cost of gain is. You just double that corn price. Well, you double that, we're in the 160s somewhere. Pretty logical. Well, I'd say a little more than that, because that was back before all of our other inputs had went sky high. But how guys are going to fade that, it's what they're paying for these feeder cattle, I don't know. But I think there's going to be demand for these cattle that they're putting on feed right now, because they will come out after we get through the glut of the cattle that are on feed now, and could be a pretty good deal if we can try to hold on to a little bit of leverage somehow. Your beans up 32.5 cents bushel at 17.14 3/4 cents. How about Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 31, closing regular trading on Monday at 11.85, headed back into that $12 range. Just unbelievable where your grains have gone. And of course, you know, on that hard red winter wheat, wheat doesn't look very good at all anywhere you see in the southern plains. And what wheat does look good out there, the guys tell me there's likely none or very little grain in it, in the heads. How about your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region there on a direct basis? 87,800 head, which was a little bit better than the previous week of 84,100 head, and the same week a year ago, which was 77,600 head, pure negotiated cash. Live sales of steers and heifers from 137.5 to 145 last week. That was $1.50 to $2 higher, but your weighted average was more than that. Your weighted average on live steers was up $2.20 in the 5-area at 141.02. That's a pretty good gain there, guys. Dress sales, steers and heifers last week, $2.20 to $2.31, $1 to $5 higher. And your weighted average on dressed steers was at least that good, up $3.46 compared to the previous week's weighted average at $225.89. So nearly $226 on the weighted average, guys. Remember where these markets are at. Your live price for fat steers and heifers is $141. Your dress price is $226. We should at least get that this week, if not getting some more. I don't care if your board was down a little bit to open the week, and I sure don't care that the grains were up for those cattle that are on the show list. How about nationwide? 97,100 head negotiated sales, including the 5-area and the outsides too, at 97,100 compares to 96,600 the previous week, 88,600 the same week before. we keep talking about whenever they're reporting these prices coming in that they're buying a lot of cattle, out front. They're a little ways, 2 to 4 weeks out. Not really that many more. 27% was all, 26,300 of that 97,001. That's about normal. That's about what we normally see. Now, I have heard several stories about packers getting aggressive, wanting to buy cattle for midsummer, and they're wanting to, and they're promising guys a buck or two over what the high for the week is or what the weighted average is or something like that, trying to get some more cattle put together, those that aren't already tied up in some kind of an AMA. They're wanting to get more of those cattle tied up, because even though we got a lot of cattle that's going to be coming out, end of May, June, right in there, once we get in July and August, we're going to be running out of them again. So they're going to need cattle for that. But like I said, 97,100 pure negotiated cash, negotiated grid 32,500, formulas including your alternative marketing agreements 258,400 head. I kind of turn my lip up a little bit when I'm talking about formula sales. Everybody talks about how great those alternative marketing agreements are, which that includes all of your branded programs and all that kind of thing. And I remind you, what's the first requirement to joining in one of those alternative marketing agreements? Promising all your cattle to one packer, which eliminates competition, guys. Pull your head out. Think about that. Box beef cutout values were mixed. Choice cuts down 154 at 271.08. Select up 56 cents at 259.46. Your slaughter, just one day slaughter there, but it was kind of disappointing. So we're going to have to really ramp things up. Only 118,000 harvested on Monday. We'd like to see 124.5. But what else is going on? I want to talk to you about some sales that are coming up on DV auction. Of course, we have lots of sales. We'll have another 40 or 50 sales, production sales, bull sales and female sales this weekend. But I want to talk to you about some sales that are a little out of the ordinary that we're going to have on DV auction. And it's going to be later this week. And the X-Bar with Shane Steyerwalt out of Burbank, Oklahoma there. They're going to have the Proud to Be an American sale. And they're going to have 700 head of 3-year-old fall-bred cows there. Top genetics. 44 farm genetics. Name brand genetics, some of the best you can find anywhere. They've got some fancy pairs on there. They put those sales together with X-Bar, and they are first rate. They're patriotic. They do an awful good job there, and you sure want to at least watch that sale. But I think you want to go ahead and get registered, because you may want to bid on there, because they are going to have some really, really fancy replacement stock on that X-Bar Proud to Be an American replacement female sale. Next Monday, coming up on the 25th, going to have the Montgomery Stockyards feeder cattle board sale. I'm going to be going out there to help with that. That's going to be the first one. I don't know how many years they've been doing that. The eastern side of the country has been doing board sales for a long time. Normally back in the day, they just described the cattle on a sheet of paper and they faxed it out to prospective buyers. Well, it's 2022. We can put that online, and we can take the bids right there, and you guys can see a video of them. Basically going to be a video sale, but it's their board sale. Montgomery Stockyards got over 100 loads of locally backgrounded yearlings there. A lot of them be right off grass, be in a green condition. You can't find cattle in a green condition in the plains of the central part of the United States. Got to go to the southeast. There'll be some really good cattle on there. They may not have quite as much hair as you're used to. They don't need it for summer feeding, guys. But don't forget about those sales. How about your feeder cattle market? Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday said at 155.14, down 22 cents. So it was a little bit cheaper on the sales, but the receipts are so light. You can have one sale that's lower, and it'll pull those index levels down already. How about some of your big sales? Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 5,700 head. As I told you, your top high volume sales there on Monday would be higher, despite the board, the feeder cattle being down hard, despite the grains being sharply higher. Feeder steers 2 to 4 higher in Oklahoma City. Feeder heifers steady to $3 higher. Calves run evenly steady. Top quote out of Oklahoma City that I saw, National Livestock sold 64 head, 759 pound steers at 165.85. Nothing to sneeze at anywhere, guys. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,100 head there. Market was steady to $3 higher. Biggest gains were seen on your feeding heifers. Big quote that I saw out of Joplin was 60 head of 889 pound big steers weighing nearly 9 at 150.5. A couple other individual quotes that I saw on Monday. Tri-State Livestock Auction out of McCook, Nebraska sold 62 head, 897, or right at 900 pound steers at 150.250. And the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Rowgrow top quote for the day, come out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales, 62 head, 881 pound steers, bring $163. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.